Next one, Rev says Desu. This one is Pokimane made a huge mistake. Is anyone really surprised? Let's see what mistake Pokimane has made.
Hey, what's up, guys? Up here. So today we're gonna be once again talking about Pokimane because she made another virtue signaling slop post on Twitter that is backfiring horribly. Now, I'm not quite sure where I heard this, but someone once said that Pokimane, in her attempt to stay relevant, every couple of months she comes out with a very dumb take that a lot of people will talk about, and she's doing it for attention. But here I am giving attention. I'm not exactly throwing her a Twitch Prime or anything like that. We're just farming her for content. Now, we've talked about Pokimane twice in the past year or so, beginning with this right here, where she said that the entire streaming scene is completely dominated by men. Now, of course, if you look at the actual statistics, there's plenty of female streamers that are doing really well. The difference is, it's just not Pokimane, and also she doesn't recognize the fact that many VTubers have done very, very well, including people like Iron Mouse, who at one time was the most subscribed to Twitch streamer in the...
Yeah, I think when it comes to VTubers, I think Iron Mouse is probably like the face. It's like, for a while, it was like a toss-up between Iron Mouse and Gura. We're probably like the face of VTubing. It's like if you knew VTubing, your association to it was either like Gura or Iron Mouse, because they're like the biggest ones that they're out there, like the most well-known.
World. The other thing we talked about was a crazy eat the rich type take she made. Of course, Pokimane, being a multi-millionaire, made this very awkward. In addition to that, very hypocritical, because she's the same person who only about a year or two ago would call people broke boys for not being able to afford her overpriced cookies.
Do you think someday we'll have a revolution like that in America? Right? It's getting there, right?
We already have one.
Another one.
What's going on?
The wealth disparity is getting bad.
The wage gap, I hate that shit.
No, wealth disparity.
Wealth disparity.
Wage gap is like between men and women. Men and women, we love each other.
Facts.
And we hate the rich. Anyways.
Yet you are a multimillionaire, so we have to hate you.
Much.
Aren't you the rich?
No. Oh my god, $28 for cookies? It's 4 bags. That's $7 a bag. I know math is hard when you're an idiot, but like if you're a broke boy, just say so.
And now we're doing the...
Or maybe we don't want to pay for your shitty fucking cookies, and we'd rather spend money on something that's more, that's more appropriate for our life instead of sugary foods.
wildest transition in history. We're going to go from that to Diddy. Yes, because it's relevant for context somehow, right? So if you didn't see the news, Diddy was acquitted of the most serious offenses he was facing, but he was convicted on a different offense, and he's awaiting sentencing for that. And a lot of people have had reactions to this, including Johnny Somali, of all people, saying Diddy got off and I'm next. Unfortunately for Johnny Somali, he can't afford the very high-priced lawyers that are responsible for getting Diddy off on those charges. On top of that, Johnny, I wouldn't compare yourself to Diddy. I don't think that's a comparison any person should be making. But anyways, there was some celebrations going on outside of the courthouse in the most shameful display I think I've ever seen in my life. I can't even play the video because it gets too inappropriate for YouTube, but basically there was a crowd of people throwing a party outside of the courthouse where people were pouring baby oil on each other and twerking and taking their clothes off and stuff. And at one point, the girl in the blue here, she twerked so hard her weave literally fell off. It's an embarrassing sight. And if it sounds familiar, it's because you watched the Boondocks. Because in the first season of the Boondocks, there was an episode where R. Kelly was on trial and he got off, and people were throwing a big party inside and outside of the courthouse. Like, basically, parody has become reality. Now we reach Pokimane, who with this statement I believe is referencing the results of the Diddy trial, where she says, "Believe victims." Stunning and brave post. Now, we've seen this mentality.
I think people who have this mentality are fucking stupid. You have to believe victims. How about no? I will believe them if all the evidence points to the fact that what they're saying is true. Remember, innocent till proven guilty. It is not guilty till proven innocent. Justice is blind. That's how it should be. Let's believe all victims. How about you come back to live in reality instead of living in your stupid fucking fantasy world, you smooth-brained dumb bitch.
Before. It's really the foundation of the Me Too movement, which caused all kinds of harm. It got innocent people locked up, got their lives ruined. It also hurt real victims because people started...
Yeah, you can't just believe all victims, because there are plenty of people who have just outright lied or made up some shit about some people just because they didn't like how they looked, or just because they looked at them wrong, or just because they didn't like their presence. You can't just believe victims without circumstantial evidence backing up their claim. Because just believing them without proving their innocence, you are ruining somebody's life for life. They won't be able to really make any friends. They won't be able to go any places without being looked at like they're a fucking horrible monster. They won't be able to get a job. They won't be able to get a place. They're essentially locked in. They're locked in. They're locked out of life for life. So saying believe victims is one of the smoothest brain decisions you can make.
become even more suspects of people making allegations because there were so many false ones being made. You can see how this sort of idea of believe all victims, at its foundation, if you're being charitable, is something trying to do something good, right? But in practice, it can backfire really badly if you take it to the extreme. And of course, the comment section is absolutely eviscerating her, and the quotes are much worse, okay? So here's one example of probably hundreds where this person says, I was R-worded by Pokimane in 1997. Now this tweet has 179,000 likes. Now using the Pokimane type logic here, you have to believe this person. On top of that, this is Twitter. We all know that more likes on your tweet is equally related to the veracity of your claim. So clearly that's a lot of likes right there. So that adds some more truth to this statement if we're playing that sort of a game. We have another tweet here saying Pokimane stole $500,000 from me. I hope you contact the authorities and you get your money back. That's very tragic. Now we're making jokes, right? People are trying to clown on this whole tweet and make wild accusations.
Sir Savvy. I've seen her a few times. She's kind of funny. Pokimane gave me AIDS and kicked my salamander.
Again, Pokimane, that's like the joke here. And there were some very, very dark, deep, crazy things people were saying in the replies, right? But only one reply out of the thousands got under Pokimane's skin as much as this, to the point where it's the only hidden reply. It comes from Madam Savvy. That's someone we've talked about with their various takes, whether it's on tweets or threads, someone we definitely respect, and someone we respect even more for sharing her brave story, where she says, Pokimane gave me AIDS and kicked my salamander. I can't believe that happened. You know what? The thing is, hearing her testimony has really, it sparked something in me. I gotta share my story, my encounter with
God.
Pokimane. Here it goes. So, it was a cold Chicago night on January 29th, 2019. I had just finished having a delicious sandwich at my local Subway. And as I left the store, I was on the phone when I saw a figure
For legal reasons, this is a joke.
shadows, and I instantly recognized it as Pokimane. Now, she started by yelling slurs at me, and the closer she got, the more aggressive she got. She began wailing on me, and I can't forget this. It's burned into my memory. Hold on, I need a second. I remember at one point, Pokimane opened up a box of her overpriced cookies and poured it on top of me and said, what are you, a broke boy? And then after wailing on me some more, she put a noose around my neck and said, "This is MAGA country." And then I was able to fight her off and get away, but that is my story. For legal reasons, this is a joke. Are we still going with Jussie Smollett jokes from 2019? Is that still relevant? Whatever. I still demand reparations from Pokimane for what she did to me. But you get the point. People are making fun of this, but there's also people who are very angry about this and pointing out her hypocrisy. This tweet right here showing a screenshot of Pokimane reacting to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Because it turns out that this whole believe victims thing doesn't really apply to someone if she doesn't like them. And oddly enough, she was right here not believing Amber Heard, but anyways, this is the standard she created and now it's being applied against her.
Unredacted
Your Honor.
them so we could get context.
That's how it's in evidence.
That's how it's in evidence.
Next
Well,
question.
the metadata next to it is so that
Ms. Heard,
to avoid this
Ms.
sort of
Heard, there is
confusion.
no question pending, and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be making argument to the jury.
Sorry, I
It's
thought you had
inappropriate.
asked me about it.
No, I didn't ask you about anything.
Amber Heard's lawyer, what is this?
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Okay, when they were talking about, like, we have all this evidence that he actually did it, I was like, but we just haven't shown it yet. Like, why not? Isn't that the point of a trial a little bit?
So seeing that context, obviously what she said here looks a bit hypocritical looking in hindsight, right? And this interaction, I cannot believe is real. I mean, like, this is the reason I stay on Twitter despite it being a complete hellscape. It's for moments like this. So this user, being totally serious, says, "Pokimane, I love you and I agree, but I can't forget the way you made fun of Amber Heard during the trial. It was really disappointing. Please address this." And Pokimane actually replied. This is the only reply she made on anything. She said, "I completely understand. I regret how I restreamed the trial because any jokes at the expense of how victims can be perceived." Frowny face. "I apologize for that, plus took down those videos a long time ago." And then that person says, "Thank you for replying, but please apologize directly to Amber Heard because your platform did in fact add to the smear campaign that was set up against her. I've watched your videos and looked up to you ever since I was 11 because you were a woman still standing in a male-dominated community making way for other girls who want to stream. I really don't want you to get more attention from the misogynistic incel audience. I want you to use your platform to speak up for what's right for women and survivors."
This is so fucking... I can't believe there are people who still believe Amber Heard is innocent. Yes, believe victims. Because we're stupid.
Ooh. Is this what it looks like to get cannibalized by your own audience that you've been pandering to for all of these years? This is a totally unironic interaction, and it just really sums up what happens to these virtue signalers. They are ultimately hypocrites in many different ways, and what they're saying is very transparent. People see through this, and unfortunately for Pokimane, this is another example of that. But for now, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Yes, believe victims. Because we have no analytical skills and we can't, do our... Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious to think that there are people who, despite all the evidence to show that the person is innocent, they will still believe the quote-unquote victim because the victim says that it happened despite the evidence proving otherwise. It's so fucking dumb. People nowadays have lost their ability to think critically and to discern reality from fiction. Or reality from, fantasy.